Hi, I'm Dr. Kit Weathers, and it's time for the Root Tip of the Week. But before we get started, let's reach into the top hat for the magic illusion of the week. Hi, I'm Dr. Kit Weathers, and once again, it's time for the magic trick of the week. Today's root tip of the week involves paper, so let's use a piece of paper for our magic trick. Naturally, I'm going to get a shameless plug in here, come to my root camp. But what I'd like to do is roll this up into a cylinder. Then I'm going to take the magic cylinder that has my picture on it, and inside there we're going to place, wait a minute, I seem to have forgotten how to do this. Let's look under Magic for Idiots and look this trick up just to be sure I get it right. Got the cup here, there we go. Oh, okay. Yeah, what I do is I put the cup inside the paper cone. No, that's not right. We put the, we pour the solution inside the paper cone first. That's what we do. Like that. And then, no, wait a minute. It says here, before you pour solution in, place the cup inside of the paper cone, so I made a little bit of a mistake. But it actually is not a big mistake because no fluid anywhere except in the glass, of course. And we'll enjoy a nice glass of Coca-Cola. Would you like to know how that's done? Let me show you the secret. To learn the secret to this and other magic tricks in this series, go to EndoRootCamp.com. Okay, I'll come right to the point. Today we're going to talk about paper points. Now I am reading the paper, but that's not the point. Well, the point is, when we look through the paper, there's really not much in there. Well, that's important, but let's get right to the point and talk about dental paper points. And some of the things you can do with a paper point other than just dry the canal. Here's a great way to use the paper point to control hemorrhage. Take a Gates Glidden number 3 and drill around to create some filings, dentin filings, and take the paper point to kind of tamp those filings down into the apical region. And that will almost instantaneously stop the bleeding in most cases. Try that, I think you'll enjoy it. Another way to control hemorrhage would be to take your paper point, dip it in a little superoxol, and that will almost instantly control bleeding as well. Just slide it in and maybe leave it in the canal for 30 seconds or so, and most of the time you'll find that the bleeding is under control. Superoxol, incidentally, is 35% hydrogen peroxide, usually used for internal bleaching. Let's think for just a minute about why the tooth might have blood coming out of the root canal. One of the reasons would be if there's some tissue left in that you didn't get out, and that's very simple to fix. Just go in with your rotary files and clean out the rest of the tissue, and then that bleeding will stop. But if you've overextended, which is the most common cause of bleeding in the root canal, then you have to realize two things. One, you're going to have to shorten up your working length, move a little bit further away from the apex because you've gone too far. You didn't trust your apex locator. And you're also going to have to remember that in this particular case, you're going to have to measure short, create a new working length. And how do we do that? Just take a small paper point, slide it in the canal about 3 millimeters short of what you think the working length would have been. And then look at the tip and see if there's any red stuff on the end. At that point, slide it 2 millimeters from the apex. Check again. And then keep getting a little bit closer at a time until you finally have that tiny little pinpoint drop of red on the end of the paper point, and that's your new working length. Incidentally, when we use the paper point for its intended purpose, and that's to dry the canal, how do you know when you've gotten the canal completely dry? One little trick I like to use is to take the paper point and drag it across the rubber dam just a little bit and see if the tip bends and see if it leaves a little trail where you wipe it across the dam. If either one of those happens, that means you're not quite dry and you need to try a couple of more paper points. Well, that's it for another Root Tip of the Week. I'm Dr. Kit Weathers, inviting you to register at EndoRootCamp.com for free videos and special reports you can't get anywhere else. Meanwhile, I will see you at our next Endo Root Camp.